So finally, the break is over and the spoilers for JJK chapter 259 are in front of us. And brother, one character is going to die and an old OP character is making a comeback. So without delay, let's move towards the chapter. So in the last chapter, we saw that Sukuna is finally going to use his divine flames on Yuji. And after seeing those flames, Yuji's was shitting in his pants. Now chapter 259 begins with a flashback in which Yuji, Choso, and Kamo are seen talking to each other. Yuji asks Choso to teach convergence, but Choso isn't really a good teacher. So Kamo clearly explains how blood manipulation and convergence work. And I think this may be because Choso was kind of just born with all this stuff, whereas Kamo was born and had to learn how to use his blood manipulation. Choso says he can teach Yuji how to use supernova attack, but Kamo rebukes Choso's suggestion and says Yuji should learn blood manipulation only to know how to stop bleeding and suturing. And Choso was just upset about this. I do think that Yuji could obviously learn supernova now because he has the same body as Choso. It hasn't been confirmed if he did it in chapter 251 or 250, but I'm pretty sure that's when he used supernova against Sukuna. Also, Yuji also reveals that the second person he swapped with is Yuta. Enough about our boy Yuji, we go to Sukuna now. It's said that only by going through the cooking processes of both dismantle and cleaves will the door to Kamino open. It lacks the speed relative to its fire and has a narrow effect range. To resolve these issues, Sukuna imposed a binding vow upon himself, and then we see Yumi, who says, "It's our win." And narrator continues to explain that Kamino's heat results in decompression and overpressure, leading to death of living beings inside the domain. This is Sukuna's ultimate technique that slaughtered Maharaga in one strike. The narrator explains that during the fight with Gojo, Sukuna had to repeatedly change the specifications of his domain, narrowing its effective range. Due to this, Sukuna deemed it insufficient to unleash Kamino. Thus, Sukuna had to seal it during his fight with Gojo. However, before the flames could hit Yuji, Choso jumps in front of Yuji and blocks him with either a domain or a blood shield. While inside this domain or barrier, Choso is slowly burning as the damage from the fire arrow is continuous. However, despite Yuji trying to tell him to stop, Choso doesn't move and continues to take all of the damage. We then get a little bit of a flashback that hasn't been translated yet, but they're talking and Choso's last lines to Yuji are, "I'm sorry, I'm going to leave you alone yet again." Back to reality, Choso departs with final words, "Thank you, Yuji, for becoming my brother." Yuji says goodbye to Choso as he finally says, "Thank you, Aniki. Shit, I can't bear this. Fuck you, Gege." As everything crumbles down, Yuji helplessly asks, "Guys, someone." The narrator explains that Yuji convinced himself he was a cog. No matter what happened, he was meant to fulfill his role. But as the scorched earth's heat begins to push his way, it shook the foundation of his resolve. The resolve to repay his brother, who had sacrificed his life to protect him. Yuji hopelessly sees Sukuna coming towards him. But Todo once again arrives at a battlefield to help his brother. Todo comes back and it's then revealed that from a distance, Todo was actually swapping the crows and the other people away from Sukuna's domain expansion to keep them safe. We also see flashback where Todo talking to me, saying that he has a plan, but they need to keep it a secret from Yuji, because Yuji and Sukuna were two souls in one body. Even though it's in the past, that connection itself is strong. So there's a possibility of their plan unknowingly being spilled to Sukuna. Narrator says that even Todo was uncertain about his allies' safety and couldn't manage to move Choso and Yuji outside because both of them were right at the center of the domain. Now Todo couldn't explain all this to Yuji, so Todo tries to encourage him by saying, "I'm sorry, brother, but they are means other sorcerers probably alright." Yuji tries to steal his resolve by thinking other sorcerers are probably alright, and he has to believe in Todo for now. Yuji and Todo rush towards Sukuna, and the narrator reveals that Sukuna is now in a state where it's difficult to use his curse technique after the domain expansion. Editor comment on this is, "The path to victory, linked by the brother." Now the brothers duo is back, and Todo is going to die in the next chapter, another big torture for Yuji, and there is no break next week, so we'll be able to see Todo's death soon, and rest in peace, Big Brother Choso. You'll always be loved by your little brothers.